All right, so we're going to get into our first chat of this morning. TEDx Johannesburg is set to take place on the 24th and the 25th of October, really reimagining what a sustainable and equitable future can in fact look like. So this event focuses on accelerating climate action and fostering solutions as well. Day one is a blend of workshops, design sprints that is led by scientists, creators and community leaders alike. Day two then transitions to a tranquil, natural setting where inspiring TEDx talks, performances, creatives will also spark conversations around building a greener and more resilient world. So this will be happening in Sandton and it's at the serene beauty of NIROX Sculpture Park. Perhaps to tell us a little bit more about this, we are going to be joined by the curator and organizer, Ithateng Mokgoro. Ithateng, good morning and thank you for your time at this hour.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
I mean, TEDx is such a big platform, so we're obviously looking at the significance of it being held here in Johannesburg, but given the themes as well, like climate, resilience as well, talk to us a little bit more about that conception.
Well, you know, so TED held their TED Countdown event in June in Nairobi, and they selected 18 TEDx events around the world to anchor that event. So we are one of 18 events selected by TED to be anchor events for the Countdown. And Countdown is TED's climate change platform. Okay,
so tell us about day one and day two, the different workshops, excursions, the experiences that are actually going to be in an offer. How are we going to be forever changed after
this? So that's going to be exciting because it's the first time that we are trying that out. And we've partnered with How Train, to drive people to different places. But we all start at Gibbs, where, a number of people will gather, and then from there, How Train will tell us about the future of the How Train itself. Which is, people don't pay attention to the fact that the How Train is probably Johannesburg's How Train's most important investment in climate action. It's an electric train and it promotes public transport. And so they will tell us about that and the future of the system itself. From there, some people will go on a trip all the way to Pretoria and back, and others will go to the various activations that will be happening around Johannesburg.
Okay, all right. It sounds like a jam-packed day for day one and two, but I think also the perspectives that come through, how it's shaping the global South's narratives and understanding, even adding to our agency when it comes to climate action, the pledges, but also the work that needs to be done. Tell us a little bit more about that as well.
So what's happening is that we didn't cause climate change. Africa had very little to do with what's happening with the climate today. But Africa needs to transition from the systems that we use now to the systems of the future, which is from fossil fuels to renewables. We need to do that along with everyone else. Somebody needs to pay for that. And a big part of this discussion is how do we pay for that? Who pays for that? Okay, that's the first thing. But the questions after that are, what is that? So solar, wind, but who, all the people who have jobs in the coal industry, for example, what are they going to do, when solar kicks in? And the question is, what is that transition and who pays for that transition and who manages that transition? These are big questions that are popping up all over the world in different ways around the world.
Yes, and also if we look back at the damage that has been done, how far back do you date it, right? And what does reparations and also look like? G20 is happening as well, COP20, how does that also fit into the picture?
G20 is happening immediately after TEDx Johannesburg. COP20 also follows that period of time. So we have placed our event at a point where people can begin to have discussions about these big global events. So the discussions will start at TEDx Johannesburg. I mean, they have started already around the world, but certainly we are coming at a time when further discussions can begin, in that period leading up to the big discussions around the world.
I mean, there are also lots of pledges that have taken place, right? But it's about translating that into action. There's also, I would argue, are coupling Indigenous knowledge systems that also should come to the fore, given our unique African context as well. Will that also be explored?
The essence of that is that when you think about it, the most harmonious way we can live with the planet is if we go back to how we used to live with the planet before, say, 1652 or, we have somebody who can, share a bit about that. Nokulinda Mkhize, she's a Sangoma, she's also a writer. She's very much, because of she's a Sangoma, she's well connected with her roots, her ancestry, but because she's also living in the modern world, she can see the future. She's in this very interesting space where she's able to live across time. and across space, in the past, today, and in the future. So we're looking forward to learning from her. She can bring some of that indigenous knowledge into the modern world, but also show us what the future can be like.
I mean, TEDx obviously has a specific, unique way of, people coming on, speakers coming on to relay their stories. It's short, sharp, succinct, to the point, but it's impactful as well. Can you tell us about some of the speakers on the lineup? Who are we looking forward to? I'm
really looking forward to the first speaker to begin with, Crispin Olva, who is the Deputy Chairperson of the Presidential Climate Commission. And, he brings in an immense amount of knowledge about climate action. But especially, how do we ensure that countries are able to build up policies that make sense for themselves, in the world, for their people? And then it takes us on to Lebogang Molaisi. And she will talk about how climate action happens for labor. And she has a COSATU background. And the question is, what happens to labor during this transition? And she'll answer some of those questions. I'm also looking very much forward to so many other speakers down the program. It's a jam-packed program with people who have ideas about policy, all the way to people who have ideas about action itself, who have projects and companies and they're dealing with how to turn waste into opportunity, how to turn waste into energy. What TEDx does and what we do is try to put together a program that is diverse, even within this narrowly defined area of climate change. But it's still very diverse, from policy all the way to action and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, reducing carbon emissions. There's also looking at safeguarding the future for our kids, right? Because we need to look at what they're going to inherit. So there's lots of conversations that will be coming through. Thank you so much for your time with us. You're the SABC at the Sun. Wishing you all the best of luck. You have a few days to go until it happens. Curator, organiser of TEDx Johannesburg, Ithateng Mokgoro, this morning chatting us about this year's event, of course, the focus as well, and what this is going to mean, an impactful nature, not only for South Africa, but the continent, and then, of course, asserting that into the global sphere. Thank you to him for joining us at this hour.